Fire is life, you know, when you're out there. It's protection, it's warmth, it's used for cooking. Fire is one of the most essential elements, you know. Now, before I even got started, if it was a real situation, before I even got started and had this material, I'd have a pile of my little twigs, my little teeniest, smallest twigs over here, and then beside that I'd have a pile of bigger ones, and then beside that, you know, pinky width sticks, and you just keep working your way up. But you never want to get going and get your spark or your flame until you're ready, because then you're going to be scrambling around, and that might be the only chance and opportunity you have. This is your flint and steel. So this is a ferrocium rod on the necklace. But when you're ready to use it, make sure you take it off first. Slide the ferrocium rod up to the top. Wrap the leather cord around, and then using your steel striker at a 45-degree angle, you're going to strike downward, strike down, and flick and throw. I'm going to show just a couple different types of tinder that are useful that you can use to get your fire going. This is birch bark. On every single birch tree, you know, you can just start peeling this stuff off. There's probably even a couple more layers left on this. Birch bark has like 50 layers to it, so you want to pull apart as many layers, get the thinnest layers you possibly can, so you can basically see through it. So it's just like really, really thin stuff. When you're working with your tinder, you want as much surface area as possible. So I have like all of this here. That's birch bark. Cedar, from bark from a cedar tree. This I just got it outside, so it's too wet to actually make with it. But if you're gonna use, if that's all that you have and you don't have any birch, you're basically gonna go up to the tree. So this would be on the side of the tree. If you have your knife, take your knife completely sideways at a horizontal, you know, line, and then you take it up against the tree, and you're gonna basically do this and just keep going back and forth, back and forth. So you're not cutting the bark off or anything like that. You're just scraping it, and you can see it's making this it's just all this really fibrous, hairy, you know, material. Here. So this is basic. This is right out of my dryer. This is just dryer lint. And I have dogs, so there's a lot of dog hair in it. But this only works if you wash a lot of cotton. If you're just big on synthetics, lots of hiking clothes, you know, all those wicking shirts and, you know, whatever, this isn't gonna work. But if you just wash a lot of cotton shirts and blankets or whatever, again, see every time I'm like picking up a piece of material, you wanna like break it up as much as possible to get that surface area. So again, taking the ferro rod to the top and striking downward. And that's just dryer lint. That smells like burnt hair. And then lastly, I have this stuff here. You're not gonna find this in the Maine woods, but this is a natural plant fiber called jute, from the jute plant. It's really user-friendly, and it takes less than one spark to get it going. This is the bow drill kit, fire by friction using a bow drill. There's 5 different pieces to a bow drill. You got your fireboard here. These are my custom ones I make, they thrive in them. So you got your fireboard, your bow with a string on it. You got your handhold, your spindle, which the handhold is going to sit on top of, and then you've got your coal catcher. Now these are just, you know, 2 square inch piece of leather that I use, but anything can be used as a coal catcher, just a green leaf. The only thing that you need is something to catch that coal when you make it. So it could be a leaf, it could be a piece of bark, or anything. I just use a piece of leather. So these are the 5 elements to the bow drill kit. So I'm just gonna make that bird's nest I was talking about earlier. Break up the fibers as much as you can, get some air in there. Prepping material is super important. That's my little nest there. You was literally going to make a spot for, you know, like in a bird's nest for an egg to lay. That's where your ember is going to go, right where that egg belongs, you know. It's going to go right in the middle of there. And then when I get it, I can add some oxygen to it. Hopefully no moisture. Before you start to make the board look like this, I need to know where the center of my hole is going to be. So before I even start, I want to make a little little divot for my spindle to sit in. It's just like maybe like a 1/4 inch back from the end of the board. So I don't even really need to worry about anything else right now, because right now I'm just gonna make burn a hole just so I know where the center of the hole is gonna be. So I got my spindle. And then you get your handhold. These are custom handholds that I make. It's a piece of clay with a glazed hole on the end, so it's a lot frictionless. You know, if you're going to use natural materials and this is going to be a block of wood, you want all the energy and friction to go down into your fireboard. You don't want it to go up into your handhold. So if this is a piece of wood and you're just using natural materials, in order to get as much of the energy, kinetic energy going downward, you need to sort of oil up or grease this block in your hand. So usually you can take the end of the spindle and use the side of your nose or behind your ear or any of the oily spots on your face. It's very helpful. Also, if I have a piece of wood, then I usually take some green grass or a green leaf, and then I'll bundle it up, squish it up, and put it in that little hole. And then, because anything that's green in nature has natural oils in it, and then put your spindle in on top of that green stuff, and then that should help transfer more of the energy downward. But with these custom ones that I make, you don't have to worry about that.
That's crazy.
Just like that. Now I know where the center of my hole is, so I can make the proper notch to the center. Found the center of my hole, created the notch. So now when I start making friction this time, now all that sawdust has a place to fall into, down in here. Which is gonna fall in down there onto my coal catcher. This is gonna create smoke and friction, and then all the sawdust is gonna fill up in here. I'm only gonna give it like 50% friction as much as I can, because I want to build up that sawdust pile before I get an ember. So we're going to get a nice little build up there, then I'm going to give it 100%, create that high enough friction for ember to ignite, and then it'll have a nice little pile of sawdust to live in for about 5 minutes. If your spindle gets real shiny, like a shiny blackness to it, that means it's just going to glide around. You want to just take your knife and kind of shave off some of that. And this back, then I can use my pointer finger on this hand and lock it. Now I can move around. So when you're doing this, don't forget to breathe. You do get out of breath. So at this point, it's really all about, if I get to too many fundamentals of it, but making friction fire is all about body position. So if I'm, sitting back here like this, I'm using my thigh to hold me up. I'm completely unstable here. My hands are unstable. It's really all about your body position and bone support. So my ankle, my shin bone, my knee, my head, my chin, everything is in complete alignment. I'm going to take my forearm and my wrist here. I'm going to lock it in to my shin bone. So now I'm just sitting here on bone support. All right. Let's make fire. The spindle has got to stay completely vertical. The bow's got to stay completely horizontal. I'm going to give it 50%. I'm already getting smoke. So right now I'm just building up that pile of sawdust. I'm using the whole length of the bow. That little pile still smoking? Mm-hmm. Very gentle with it from here. So now I've built up a pile of sawdust. I got about 5 minutes with this thing. So I catch my breath, bring this little thing to life. If I keep doing this, you'll be able to see it turn red. See it? Fragile. So I'm gonna be really careful with it. All right, so I like to transfer my coal like this, take my nest, put it on top, and then do the old flip. So now it's in there. And I need to bring it to life by adding oxygen.
That's cool.
There it is.